Thank you very much. And next up, we have our first panel of the day, and this will be moderated by 𝗝𝘗𝘁. And we have guests from Scroll, ZkSync, ZkMips, and Linea.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first panel of the day. My name's Matt. I'm the co-founder and CEO of 𝗝𝘗𝘁. We're a royalty service company. And I'm really excited to have many thought leaders in the ZK space here today to talk to you all. So to start off with, I think it makes sense for us to do a quick round of intros. Want to go first?
Right, okay. Start? Okay. Yeah, my name is Ming Guo. I'm chief scientist at ZKM, which is a ZkMips based Ethereum layer 2 solution. Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Go ahead. Feel free to pass the mic down.
Okay, yeah, super happy to be here. I'm Antonio, developer relations engineer at Matter Labs. Matter Labs is the team behind ZkSync. And yeah, for those that you don't know, ZkSync is a layer 2 rollup powered by zkDay. We're doing things a little bit different from other teams. We have native account extraction. Yeah, happy to come here and talk about this.
Hi all, I'm Daniel Helm. I lead developer relations for the Scroll team. At Scroll, we are building a ZK-powered rollup, like I can folks here, but focusing really on developer experience and really focusing in on compatibility with the EVM, making sure that it's super easy for users and developers to take their knowledge and experience from Ethereum and bring that into the layer 2 context.
Hello, I'm Marco, and I'm leading the growth for Linea. Linea is a layer 2 powered by zkEVM. It's a technology built in-house from Consensus. I'm part of Consensus. And yeah, we are bootstrapping this layer 2 on top of Ethereum. And we just went live yesterday on mainnet. So yeah, to talk about Linea and layer 2 solution, guys.
Amazing. Big welcome to our 4 panelists. So I wanted to start off with a pretty broad question, and that's, in your guys' view, what are the biggest challenges in layer 2 scalability today?
I guess I'm holding the mic so I can start this off here. When I think about the challenges for L2 scalability, I think one of the big ones is obviously like the thing that we shouldn't under-realize in a place like this, that these are really big engineering tasks on really cutting-edge emerging research problems and engineering problems. And so I think on the engineering side, there's still a lot to be sorted out. There's still a lot of things to happen. I think we're all like either at mainnet or very close to mainnet. But these protocols are far from being finished, right? And getting through some of those problems for, say, decentralized improver networks and sequencer networks. There's just so many challenges still yet to be solved. And that's what I would probably say.
Yeah, from my point of view, yeah, basically decentralization is something that none of us has cracked yet. When it comes to decentralization, you also have to think about, okay, everyone needs to be able to run the nodes and sequencers and the provers. And in that front, we've done a big step forward this week. We launched a new prover, which brings the requirements to generate proof super low back to consumer level hardware. So yeah, we're making steps in that direction. But yeah, that's the main thing.
Yes, I think the challenge is, from our point of view, is user acquisition, because seeing that rollup will be the future of Ethereum. We have such a big ecosystem that we want to migrate to the rollup landscape, and we have to accommodate so different types of use cases, and also we want the TVL to be evenly distributed among all the application types, DeFi, GameFi, SocialFi. They all need a onboarding experience that's easier for them. because of course the issue was getting more and more complicated. As engineering team, we mostly are concerned with running the service, running secret circle, all those kind of challenges. But if you don't have users, or users don't have a nice experience, they'll get frustrated. And that's not good. So for that reason, we designed our app from this goal in mind. That's what we think for all the role kinds, types, service. We want a streamlined user experience. We call it hybrid rollup, and we develop our in-house universal ZK component to be part of the whole solution. The user onboarding experience and all the data migration will be run smoothly, and hoping the whole ecosystem will grow to everyone's benefit.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, let's pass it down to Marco.
Thank you very much. So there are many issues, multiple issues on layer 2's infrastructure. Many of them you already talked about. It's the decentralization. I'm not really worried about that because we all recognize as an ecosystem that these are issues that we need to work on. So we are all working on the decentralization of the sequencer, of the prover, or whatever. To me, I would love to focus more on two other topics. The first one is the lack of client diversity. And when it comes to a optimistic rollup, it's just about client diversity at client level and sequencer level. When it comes to ZK, it's much more difficult topic because you need client diversity also in the prover. And that's nobody's talking about. We started discussion with Scroll, we started discussion with Polygon ZKVM as well, because if you look closely, all this rollup, if we don't have a real diversity, all this rollup will be like the first bug, we need to have the rollup, all of us. So it will be like Solana. So this is an issue that we should start figuring out on how to tackle it, about the diversity of the whole stack, not just about the client. And it's the power of Ethereum. At the end of the day, we have multiple clients. And the other issue that I see is the liquidity fragmentation, because we believe in a world where we are going to have a lot of layer 2s, and if they are going to fragment the liquidity, it will be really a pain in the user experience. So the overall user experience will be much worse than the one that we have today. So in this case, I also see some tentative of addressing the issue. There are many cross-chain apps. There are many partners like, I don't know, I can mention Axelar, Zero. There are many of them, that ZK-Link. There are many of them that are working towards real cross-chain apps that actually avoid fragmentation of liquidity. And this will create the dApps that will really be useful in the layer 2 world.
Amazing. So some of you already touched on some of these aspects, right? Like decentralized sequencers, decentralized clients, user experience improvements. Are there any other infrastructure developments in like the medium term that you guys are really excited about? Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, to me, I will double down on this. This core level infrastructure about messaging protocol and cross-chain liquidity protocol, I'm really excited about. I'm really excited about this because actually it will let us to have the dApps that can really create value in a layer 2 world where we have multiple layer 2. So this is for sure one of the things that I'm most excited about, but it's also all development on the ZK bridge side. It's also really, really interesting. And the last thing that is very phenomenal, in my opinion, is the type 1 ZkVM that are coming to the market, probably very soon. And yeah, this is very, very amazing because you can envision a fast shift from a layer 1. You can in a very transparent way make it become a layer 2 on top of Ethereum. So we could, for example, we will not see any more layer 1, alternative layer 1 in the future because it makes sense for all of them to tap into a single security system like Ethereum mainnet. So it's very exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, also very excited about all those and some of the movements that we've seen towards people voting on Ethereum that haven't in the past. I think my answer to this would probably be leaning in the direction of how we make these, people, all these apps across all these L2s, like how do we make these accessible and easy to navigate for users and developers? So obviously, I think that you mentioned are on the developer side, but also thinking about like, reading L1 state, for example, in these L2s is something that like I don't think anyone's really fully cracked yet, and it's something that I think got highlighted by Vitalik last month in a couple of articles thinking about, okay, how do we actually make sure that I don't have like really, I don't know, it's maybe not fragmentation of liquidity, but fragmentation of accounts, right? How do we make sure that account abstraction works across these layers, things like safes work across these layers, in a way that we don't back ourselves into a corner where it's even harder to solve the UX problems of blockchain that we've been accumulating as a technical debt for a long time.
Yeah, for us is touching a little bit on both things, both like the user experience and people building their own, facilitating people to build their own chains. For us, we just announced ZkStack recently, and this is our vision for the future. We see that it's not that people just running and deploying applications on ZkSync or on Scroll or any other layer 2. We see people moving to L2s because the space on L1 is limited and it's going to be more and more expensive over time. So the way we see it is that we're going to have more layer 2s, so we need to facilitate people to build layer 2s, and that's how we want to move forward in that direction. That's why ZkStack was created, and we just hope that in a few months we have more people building zero-knowledge rollups on top of it, which will also have like cell liquidity with thanks to the hyperbridges that we will have. It will be seamless to users to be on one hyperchain and then use applications from another hyperchain. So that's pretty exciting for us.
Yes, so I think a lot of developers are very excited about the future of rollup, and the most exciting thing is that we can have the kind of flexibility of decentralized rollup providers, that you can run a signature pool that every app, every ecosystem you own, or some individual can run their own rollup chain, and the flexibility being that all versions, old and new, can just coexist, right? They can just run their own rollup. Everything is just settled on Ethereum. So this is the future we're very excited about. And we all know that the blockchain space used to be very bad for upgrades and compatibility, right? You used to have to do the hard fork, soft fork. It's really hard compared to a Web2 space, where upgrade of your app is just just silently just do some trick on your server and you're done. Very smooth security experience. And I think the rollup, decentralized rollup space, this is going to be the first time that blockchain, Ethereum, be the first to provide this kind of smooth migration capability to app developers. So this is a huge thing. And also, we're also going to be to welcome new kinds of applications onto our world, right? Not just DeFi, GameFi. The next boom, I think, will, as many cycles before, every time we'll introduce new class of users, and this will enable that, right? We won't have the old time that there's this choke on the network as a harbinger of a new cycle, but then everyone's getting disappointed and then they leave, right? This time, I truly believe it's going to be different. I'm very excited.
Amazing. So I think this is a really great segue, both Jules and Ming, what you're talking about. And that one of the really cool things about folks working on ZK scalability is that things might look somewhat similar right now, but I think every team has at least a slightly different vision for what the end game is. So what's the ultimate vision for scalability, especially as you mentioned, like as you onboard more real-world users and real-world applications?
Yeah, sure. So with this capability, we have for the first time for Ethereum that we have unlimited scalability because the future is that we also have like this new exciting development of sharding, dank sharding, and then we, near future we have proto sharding, proto dank sharding, and also the I know many networks rollups are developing their own like layer 3. So layer 3 is it's just an extension of layer 2. I'm seeing like you call layer 3, layer 4, or layer 100. Someone's joking with me of that, but I would say like unlimited, infinite scalability or extensibility that everyone would be able. It's like in the Web 2 world, they can run their own server. In the Web 3 world, you can run your own chain, right? You can have your own chain, and all the chains can be parallelized. And this is the first time we can have a reverse of the conflict of having decentralization and scalability. So it's kind of the reverse, right? You have more users, it will be helping decentralization instead being restrained by it, which is the kind of story that people complain about Web3 for like about a decade. So this is all going to be changed. So that's all for us. So we want this to. That's why we develop what we call hybrid rollup, because hybrid rollup you don't have to choose. It can naturally cover more use cases. Previously, like the kind of users that want security, right? They for example, kind of traditional institutions. For them to onboard, you might be surprised that they don't even trust like ZK, right? Because they have mathematicians, they know it's sound, they know mathematically, but then to develop it into software, that's not the same thing, right? SSL is very mature, maybe the most deployed security app in the world, but I don't know, like 20 years into its deployment, they still have like heartbeat, this kind of serious problems. So yeah, naturally they don't trust, not the mathematicians, but the software developers. So they want the old bottle hardened method, which is to have a lot of checks, a long period. Like, for example, if you do interbanking settlement, it takes multiple days to go through all the settlement banks. So optimistic rollup actually is very fitting the role, but optimistic rollup cannot provide a 30-day challenge period because most users have $100 worth of wallet to pay to someone you want that money available to you immediately. So this is going to be a problem. ZK can solve this with instant finality, but the users, who do they know? They don't want to solve what ZK is, what obviously all that. So to provide them a universal kind of, they don't have to choose. That's why we developed a ZK solution called ZkM as a component of 𝗲𝘁𝘁 inside optimistic rollup. We call it hybrid rollup. So it can smoothly support all these new use cases and in a secure way, because if you just bundle different products together, you leave like space for attacks. So anyway, so all different chains, rollup chains, L2 chains, they can all coexist in a secure way and high performance and scalability. I'm gonna stop now to really share the excitement to my developers as well.
Yeah, I'll be quick because you touched in some of the things. I think technology should be transparent. That should be our end goal. When you're using Twitter or when you're buying stuff on Amazon or using your email, you don't know, or most of the users, they don't know the technology behind it. They don't know the programming language that people use. They don't know the databases that they use. So that should be our goal. People should be using blockchain without knowing that they're using blockchain. I think that having that should be the goal for everyone. And how we achieve that is just up to us. It can be like that when you have multiple chains, that was the future is going to be, but multi-chains that make that when you're utilizing one chain or another, that everything is seamless, that people don't have to go to a bridge, go to the level 1 and then bridge back to the layer 2. So interoperability between protocols, I think, is a huge thing that we should work on.
I don't remember the initial question, so I'm just going to kind of respond to some things that have been said here. But I think the security question is kind of an interesting one, right? Because it's true, this is an emerging space. I think ZK vulnerabilities for anyone is a liability for everyone. And I think a lot of the people on this stage and the folks in this room and sponsors in the other room have like a huge amount of responsibility to the space to take security super seriously. Because the reality is that users are never going to understand the mechanics mostly of these systems. And so what we have to do, aside from just education and try that route, is we have to just have really, really high standards and accountability to one another, and make sure that we really take our time to battle harden our own systems. But also I think what users can trust is they can trust processes, right? They can trust people that they trust. But they can also look at the history of software development and look at things like open source development, community-driven initiatives. These are things and processes that get a lot more than just one team trying to ship quickly, to be engaging with code, looking at code, auditing that code. And so, the little scroll show here being that like we are take this process very seriously, and we part of our kind of founding story here is that our ZkEVM circuits are built in collaboration with people well outside of Scroll, folks from Ethereum Foundation's privacy and scaling explorations, and other teams are all using these kind of same toolkits and using the same circuitry to build their products on. And we think that means a lot, and that can account for a lot, and that can hopefully really influence users to see, okay, this isn't just one team with one developer that maybe was tired that day writing this line of code, but a whole lot more folks involved.
Yeah, on this part I fully agree. I mean, we take the security as like the North Star. I think all of us do this. I mean, we went live yesterday with mainnet, the Linea mainnet, without a token bridge, a canonical token bridge, because we were told by our auditors that it was better to keep for a second and to continue some review. And so we decided to go live without it, because it's a mantra. We cannot definitely put at risk any user funds. So it's very difficult. When it comes to your question, I believe it's what's our vision for the end goal or the end game of the layer 2. Yeah, I believe that this is, it's too early to say. I mean, we still have a lot of block space among the different rollups that are out there. So we still should focus on trying to make our dApps, our developers successful so that they can onboard the next 100 million of users into the Web3. And then we can talk about if the future will be fractal scalability with layer 3 or multi-prover network with high capacity, so one will take it all, or it could be multiple layer 2 that will work with cross-chain apps. We don't know yet. We are not there yet. So we first need to support dApps to be successful enough so they can be able to onboard the next 100 million users into Web3. That's our primary target now.
Well, makes a lot of sense. Thank you all for the insight. I wanted to ask a question, kind of going on the other side, maybe more from the perspective of like adoption or business development. I think one of the really cool things about the ZK scaling space is just like the design space is so wide. Like it's clear, that's why there are so many different projects. Everyone is making different trade-offs as they design their systems. That being said, I think a lot of people view, what you're all building as, on some level part of like the same category. Do you guys see this space as like a winner-take-all space, or do you think there's room for all the projects that exist today plus more?
Yeah, this is a topic for a lot of discussion internally at Consensus. Personally, from my point of view, I really believe that the cross-chain apps will be the one that will lead this type of market. So we will see cross-chain swaps, liquidation between DEXs, new concept of DeFi project, but also of NFT. I mean, the concept of minting an NFT almost for free on a layer 2 and being able to bridge it on Ethereum mainnet, where we have bigger ecosystem, bigger floor prices. That's radically changing the approach. So why focus on a specific market when you can have dApps that can work cross-chain? And in this case, it will be just a generic type of rollup, general purpose where you can hold the dApps. So our approach was not trying to focus on a specific area, but try to be more generic because we believe in the cross-chain work. That's the point.
Yeah, I mean, I think at Scroll, we think that there's definitely room for the trade-offs, room for everyone to be cooperating in this space and learning from one another and be building out things. I think it's going to be better for developers in the end, which is my focus, and because different toolings have different appeals, and you get to learn about those trade-offs and make decisions based on those trade-offs. Yeah, so no, I don't think it's the winner take all, and hopefully there'll be even more innovations in the space that we can all keep learning from and keep building alongside.
Yeah, I also think it's going to be, there's not a single winner here. And yeah, as you said, we are all doing things slightly different. So you have better features on one side that might get some profits better than others. So I think that's the way it will go. But also we are all working towards decentralization, and open source for us is super important. And for us, ZkSync is not going to be run by Matter Labs. So the goal is open source, and everyone will be able to fork it and run it, create its own chain. So if it's not us, someone else will be able to create another layer 2 similar to ZkSync with specific features, and it can be something built on ZkStack, or it can be just a simple fork. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, this is actually a very good question because as I see it, the winner takes all is the hallmark and of the Web2 era, right? And if that's the case for Web3, I would say Web3 has failed, right? So for it to not fail, we have to go beyond the kind of apps we have today. If we only have the kind of pump and dump kind of, then yeah, we'll still revert back to the Web2 world where a couple well-funded projects probably will be like winner take all again, which is that we don't want it to be, right? Decentralization is diversity, and we can't have diversity if we have a system that can support like a diverse range of apps. So for all those apps to be on to the Web3 world, we need to build a system that it can incorporate that, right? And for almost like 10 years, we have like that kind of limitation for that. So for the true like diversification to happen, I think roll-up technology evolution is the right way to go. But we're still being kind of drastically await all those like apps to be onboarded. So the taxes is upon us. I think all developers we're on the same boat. We need to help them to get on board, not just for TVL sake, which also that's important. It's a measure of your success, but truly it's about user experience.
Amazing, cool. I think that that's one of the really inspiring things about this space. Like, despite the fact a lot of people are like ostensibly competitors working on competing projects, like we're able to get you all on stage at the same time, and hasn't broken out into a fight or anything. So that's really inspiring to hear, and I totally agree. The world is going to be multipolar. That's just how Web3 is. So appreciate the insight there. I think one of the things that's been touched on by a few of you guys in what you've been talking about is like the types of apps that you're targeting. And of course, you all are on some level positioning yourselves as general purpose networks. That being said, I think when I talk to different teams, oftentimes they have different theories as to like what apps will actually drive demand for block space. I'm curious what apps you guys are all targeting in your developer relations, in your business development to onboard onto your platforms.
For us, I don't think we have like a specific vertical or something like that. It's obviously that DeFi is what brings TVL and push the numbers up, and those are the ones that have more visibility. But we just go after every single application that is solving a problem or that has a good use case. It can be DeFi, lending, it could be NFT marketplaces, it could be games. So public goods, there's nothing specific. It's truly general focus.
Yeah, I think we all probably have the same basic answer at the beginning, and I think what we'll see when we hit mainnet later this year is that the first influx will be the DeFi, right? So much of the foundations and the building blocks are in trading, liquidity, borrowing, all that stuff, right? And the composability of those things are so exciting. So we have put a large amount of effort in trying to make the best developer experience on Scroll and to making sure that we're like bringing on all the kind of infrastructure primitives that are going to be necessary to support DeFi, chain links, and working with Aave and Uniswap governance to make sure that those things are in place. But that doesn't mean that we're trying to only get the DeFi or the degens or anything else. And so, yeah, in the developer relations side, it's been really exciting to then be able to provide these things for developers and provide a good developer experience to then say, okay, now what interesting things are you going to do and apply ZK that build off this, or an identity space that build off of these things with the benefits of the L2, which I don't think have even been explicitly said here, right? Like the faster block times and that responsiveness for user applications and that finality on L1 and the speed of that. So yeah, general purpose, but if you're interested in building outside of the DeFi that you might see early on, of course, reach out.
Yeah, again, general purpose, as we say, I have to say that we don't see DeFi as a sort of market segment. We see more like as an infrastructure piece. Because even if you talk with games, for example, a gamer wants to pay with USDC, but maybe he needs a DEX to swap the Ether to a USDC and pay the games. So the DeFi is an enabler for many things, for other verticals like art, and it comes with NFTs or games. So we see it as very important pillar, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why we put a lot of focus on it. But we also have another very important relationship with MetaMask, of course. I mean, it's a consensus product. So we put some more attention on all the dApps, not really the market segments, but the real dApps that actually works already with MetaMask curated experience. And we are talking about aggregating indexes, aggregating bridges, on-ramp providers. So all of these things are natively integrated on MetaMask on Linea. It makes a lot of sense for us to put some more effort here. And it makes a lot of sense for us to put more effort on the things that will come for MetaMask, because there are new curated experience coming on the market and new features for MetaMask. And so it makes a lot of sense for us to focus on this to support MetaMask.
Cool. Ming, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, sure. I actually agree that DeFi is still going to be the first space to kind of take advantage of this new generation of technology rollouts. And also there are important reasons why DeFi should be the first. Because DeFi is the engine to power decentralized Web3. Not just for financial apps, but for all the kind of decentralized mechanisms to work for all kinds of like decentralized the apps is decentralized. You need some kind of financial incentive design, mechanism design, and I think the booming DeFi is going to be at the core of this new generation of new kinds of like onboarding new apps. So we used to run into a lot of these problems that they want to design the kind of DeFi app, like derivatives and all that. But just Ethereum like solidity and all that is just not apt to the challenge. And I say this new generation of rollup technologies, and ZK especially, is going to be crucial to provide that capability. So so I think DeFi, I think we go for DeFi.
Cool, makes sense. So another question I wanted to ask, and I think this is where we might start to get some disagreement here, is how important is strict EVM equivalence for ZK rollups?
For us, it's 100%. I mean, it's the most important thing for us. There's a reason. When we started designing all the infrastructure piece that we wanted to wire from the very beginning on Linea, we had a very long discussion about account abstraction. We are fully supportive of account abstraction, but we started to talk with proposer of the 437 standard to understand which was the best approach. Should we do something at protocol level for the account abstraction, or should we just stick with traditional EVM? So the outcome was, let's not do anything for two reasons. The first reason is that the 437 standard is in a continuous evolution. So it would be a big overhead for our team to keep it up with the evolution of the standard if we embed it in the protocol. But the second reason was that we really want to stick with pure EVM. And if we add some features on top of the EVM, we may create some lock-ins. So if a DApp will deploy on Linea using these extra features, they probably will not be able to go back on Ethereum mainnet or another EVM anymore. So for us, the EVM compatibility is really, really important, and it's another North Star for the team.
Yeah, I think Scroll's view is quite similar in how we want to approach it. It's, again, all about the developer experience, and if you end up deviating from what mainnet's doing, that's not great, right? You're going to either have to break compatibility with your own chain to go back, or you're just going to be forking. And we're a long way from Ethereum mainnet ossification, and maybe once we get closer to that, we can start seeing what like finding specific niches looks like. I think our example of the story, in addition to account abstraction, is looking at precompiles. That's been something that I think all the people in the ZK EVM space have considered, just because the ones on Ethereum are very hard in the ZK context. It would be nice to have really accessible other ones for people doing applied ZK and other applications. But in the end, we kind of just came back to this core idea that, no, it's important for us to just be bytecode compatible. We don't want any surprises for Solidity devs. We want it to just work. And we want to just make sure that every gotcha, every additional piece of mental overhead for a developer is a potential for security issues, is a potential just for a bad developer experience, and we want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, I guess we are the only ones doing things slightly different. And yeah, it's not that we think that developer experience and user experience are obviously super important, and that's why we took maybe the middle route. We are not fully EVM equivalent, but we are not the opposite of doing our own thing. So that's why we choose to go with our own compiler. So on the developer side, developers can build on Solidity or Viper. If they are building things that rely on APIs from the node, the API is compatible. So from the developer point of view, we are mostly the same. It's 90%. And then the things that we changed are based on the user experience. That's why we have a native account abstraction. So we know that most of users use externally owned accounts. So if you have account abstraction on EMP437, none of those users can use paymasters, for example. So they cannot benefit from cashless transactions or paying fees with ERC20 tokens. So if you imagine you do a checkout or you just pay with USDC, and you have an externally owned account, you won't be able to allow that user to just pay something with USDC plus the fees with USDC or make it cashless. So that's that's not great user experience for 90% of the users that have a Mariana account. So when you have native account abstraction, you can enable that for EOAs as well. So all the things that we've made different are the reason is user experience. So yeah, that's our take on that.
I would say where I can't is the ZkSync approach. We're a bit even more radical that we, of course, from our names, we're ZKM, ZkMIPS. So we do a more general purpose, like very stable, long-standing, computer instruction set. MIPS is very stable, and by doing this, we're looking at the long game, because the next boom, as I already said, we're onboarding many new apps, right? Those apps, Solidity, of course, but what if they're in C++? What about Rust? What about Move, right? We want them all to come to Ethereum. So I don't think this is a kind of problem that's not going to be a problem, I think. For the next boom. We're all waiting for the next boom, and each boom will be exponentially, having more apps if it's a real boom. So yeah, we take the stance that we want a world that's beyond Solidity, and what we want a world with different programming development paradigms. For example, what about functional, right? A good smart contract, right, should not be using the language of assembly code. But that being said, we should be supporting all kinds of computation.
Cool. I love that we have no comment on Linea versus Scroll. We've kind of gotten the spectrum from EVM equivalence to EVM compatibility to MIPS, which might be the EVM, but might be something else. So I think that's really cool. I wanted to end this by leaving a very open-ended question. I think probably many of the people here in the audience are developers. They're thinking about building their applications. They're thinking about where to deploy their applications, how to just generally think about the space and parse, the ZK EVM or ZK rollup space. What would you say to the developers in the audience to help them get started on the journey and look into EVMs and eventually deploy on a ZK rollup?
I'll go first. So, well, first of all, I will say that they are in the right direction, because I think that's the way to go. To try to seal ZkSync a little bit, I would say that, the developer experience on ZkSync is mostly the same as what you will do on Ethereum or the layer one, and then you can benefit from these other things like native account abstraction. And we are constantly working on developer tooling. We have released a couple of new updates this week, and then with all the things that we are working on, we are trying to extend the EVM with our native account abstraction, with the Zk stack that we launched recently. So here we're just constantly trying to improve and build new things, so to improve the developer experience. So yeah, the first step will be just go to our docs or on our website. We have a quick start tutorial. We have a lot of tutorials out there, and we'll be working on trying to improve our open source efforts to onboard a lot of users, so it will be easier for them to collaborate to all of our projects and all of our tutorials, or just to the code base of the protocol. So
my tiny shovel for my real comment. Check out the Scroll docs. Most of the ways to deploy is changing RPC line, right? So it's super easy, super compatible with your existing developer tooling, smart contracts, whatever. But I think one thing I would just say to developers, aside from come meet me, is don't undervalue the importance of the fact that we're not just here to be scaling Ethereum the technology, but scaling Ethereum the social processes, the ethos, the culture. All these things are very important, and I think if in the long term in the L2 space we're going to avoid things like that corporate capture mentioned by Ming, we're going to have to really make sure that as we're if we deviate from mainnet, like these are things that are community decisions and builder decisions and things that everyone's involved in. So if you're building and interested in the space, come learn about us, check out things like L2B to learn more, but then make sure you get your voice involved in the space and join these communities and let us know what you're building and how we can better support you.
Yeah, I would say if you are in this room today, you're already on a good track. So that's a good start. Yeah, the first thing to consider to me is really carefully evaluate the possibility to build cross-chain native dApps. Because yeah, you have many types of ways to scale your dApps or to select a network to build on top. But really the important thing will be to build with an infrastructure that is by default cross-chain, that is not just stuck on a single chain. And there are many ecosystems that let you do this, so check it out because it's really important. It's really important to scale your dApp. Then you have, of course, the power of the default. So you need to select a known network, and then it will be matter about your specific approach, your needs, what you want from a network in terms of support. So it's really dependent from your specific case. But please consider to go in a cross-chain direction because it's definitely the most important thing to consider right now. Even most important than to consider to which layer to deploy.
Yes, so for us, it's really simple because the purpose of ZK is to help the little guys because all the devices that's computational less capable can now also enjoy the benefits, the fruits of security apps, right? It used to be like very few applications is developed with security in mind. That's really hard, and it's in a Web2 or traditional world, that's not something people really consider. But for Web3, security is a foundational aspect of your DApps. So with ZK technology, you can sort of delegate that task to the, we call them roll-up miners, the people running sequencer pools. They also can run proof generation and your, low-powered devices if you want to do DeFi or a new kind of smart contract enabled DeFi app on your very low powered IoT device. You can do that because ZK is the paradigm to enable you to do that. So I would kind of advise the Web3 DApp developers to think hard about the paradigm that your DApps is going to adopt, which is to have a security first approach. That's really different from the Web2 kind of world that you're coming from. Even in GameFi, SocialFi, security is first. And with that, yeah, now we have ZK. So follow us up on zkm.io. Yeah, that's us.
Amazing. I think we're at time. Time for questions? 2 minutes. Okay, does anyone have a question?
Thank you. Great points overall. I wonder after around 7 years of Altel ones trying out and bootstrapping ecosystems, it seems that that's one of the main things that is going to happen also with other tools. So even if some project would crack the very hard engineering problems that you guys talked about, how it's going to work out on the ecosystem side. We're seeing some of the biggest L2 ecosystems, being developed, but actually the technology behind them is not that sound. So what do you guys think about this? And what's, it's a big struggle because we don't have much more time to bring crypto to the masses. So, that's a big problem overall. So what are you guys thinking about this? Thanks.
Yeah, I'll be super fast. I think user experience is the first thing that we have to try to crack. Account abstraction is a good step in that direction. So yeah, I think that's the first thing that we need to fix. If my mom or your parents, they want to use crypto right now, they have to onboard, they have to sign transactions, all that stuff. It's been talked all over the place. So that's the thing that we need to focus on. So, yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, first thing is that when it comes to bootstrap the ecosystem, this is something that I don't see that it will happen a lot in the future. Because with the type 1 that will come out, you will see already bootstrapped ecosystem becoming a layer 2. They are alternative layer 1 today. With the type 1, they can just plug the prover and connect to it in a mainnet. And they will automatically be layer 2 within a bootstrapped ecosystem because they are live today. So this bootstrapping of the ecosystem that we see now, that we are going under as Linea and all the other colleagues that are here, it's something that we are just doing now because we are in an intermediate phase. We still don't have a type 1, we are still toward type 2. And so we need to bootstrap an ecosystem, we need to bootstrap a new network. But the next wave will be just about moving the existing ecosystem to a layer 2 to increase their security. So that's the first thing. Now, when it comes to how do we crack and how do we actually attract the next users, to me, this should be more coming from developers. It should be the people in this room to focus on things that will support the next 100 million of users. So we should just be able to support them, their scaling needs, their requirements in terms of throughput and block space. But that's not scare me a lot, because we do have a lot of block space available, and we will have a lot more very soon.
Cool, amazing. I think we're at time. So can everyone please put a big round of applause for our panelists? And a big thank you to Manta for